Matt Vitale, and today what we're going to be talking about is a very straightforward and simple episode. On episode 185 today, what we're going to be talking about is how to lean bulk. I'm going to give you guys and girls just some pointers on how to lean bulk. I'm not going to over explain it because it's already complicated for most people, even though it's really not that difficult. But I'm going to explain to you some of the things that you should be focusing on or have your mind on when you're lean bulking. All right. So if you want to grow muscle, if lean bulking is something that you struggle with, then this is definitely the episode that you're gonna have to pay attention to. So 1 second, I'm just adjusting something on TikTok. Also, guys, girls as well, if you have any questions and you want to talk, again, drop them. I won't be responding to you guys ASAP, but I'll try my best to get to you at the end of the episode. Again, the reason why we do that is because I want to get a clear recording for the people listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So drop your questions. Let me know how your day is going. But at the end, I will try my best to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, so with that said, with that out the way, we'll be diving into today's podcast episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yo, what's good, meatheads? Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your boy, returning champion, IFBB Pro, Matt Vitale. And today, what we're going to be talking about is how to lean bulk. It's very, very simple. I'm going to sort of give you the things you need to think about while you're lean bulking or if you want to lean bulk. And I'm not going to over explain it. I'm just going to tell you the most important things that will have the biggest difference or impact in your fitness journey if you want to put on some lean muscle tissue. Okay. So pull out a pad and a pen or just repeat this episode in the future if you find value in it. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to lean bulking is just overall calories, right? A lot of people sort of think about bulking to be some sort of thing where like you have to eat a fuck ton of calories, like way more than you would normally eat in terms of like what makes you feel full. And some people overeat to the extent of like feeling extremely sluggish or like nauseous. And sometimes it could even interrupt with your training. So what we want to talk about is, or at least what we want to focus on when it comes to calories, is the fact that you don't want to like just be eating a fuck ton of calories just because. Like, don't eat 5,000 or 4,000 calories just because you saw Chris Bumstead do it, because it's likely you're not even going to have the same effect on you, and it's going to make you fat and full of water. All right. So when it comes to calories, what should you be eating? Like, if you want to lean bulk, if you want to put on muscle and grow, how many calories should you be eating? All right. To answer that, very straightforward and to the point, I would say roughly between 250 to 300 calories more than what your body would require in a maintenance phase. So maintenance being the amount of calories that you need in order to just maintain your body weight and maintain your strength. That plus 150 or 250. Again, every week you can increase it by 50 calories or 100 calories. I'd recommend 100 because 50 is really fucking slow. But 100 calorie increases every single week until you notice that you start to pack on a lot more fat and water than you are muscle. And no, you're not going to be able to see the muscle immediately, but you will notice that you start to feel a little bit more sluggish, that you start to retain more water, that you start to look a little bit more bloated and fat. And at that point, you can just either step back a little bit and go 100 calories down and reverse that week of progress, or you can stick there until your body sort of metabolizes that properly over a course of period of time. And that period of time is going to vary for everybody. But that's the first thing you want to focus on when it comes to bulking, or at least putting on muscle tissue, is not accelerating too fast, right? 100 to 250 calories increase per week until your body starts to show signs of fat retention and water retention. Then you can either stay at that limit, or you can dial it down a little bit and stay there until your body can better assimilate those calories, and then you can continue to grow and also be lean. All right, because this is lean bulking, right? It's not just fucking dirty bulking, right? You don't want to focus on overall like getting as many calories as possible. What you should focus on is having a fair amount of calories more than your maintenance level. And then on top of that, having, I guess what we'll say, putting attention to detail when it comes to focusing on the amount of protein that you're consuming every day, right? That's what you want to focus on, all right? So for you, if you weigh like, say 180 pounds and you want to bulk up, you want to get to 190 or 200 pounds, I'd recommend to get at least 190 to 200 grams of protein every single day. Okay. And if you're able to get 190 to 200 grams of protein every single day while making sure that you are increasing your calories slightly, like say, I don't know, 100 calories per day, 200 or 100 calories per week to 250 calories per week, you'll notice a steady incline with the weight on the scale and also your strength. All right. And that will also correlate into your physique, the way that it looks and the way that you feel in your body. All right. So when it comes to lean bulking, the first thing you have to understand is it's not just about eating clean foods. I'm actually going to record this here. When it comes to lean bulking, it's not just about eating clean foods and bulking, because you could still eat way too many fucking calories and put on fat doing that. It's about eating the necessary amount of calories and increasing it incrementally, consistently over a period of time until you start to see diminishing return. Diminishing return is just, simply put, you keep increasing it until it stops, until you stop seeing that, or until you start seeing your body retain fat and you start seeing your body retain water. Then you'd stay at that level calorically, or you dial it down a little bit and stay there until your body gets used to it and your conditioning improves with those calories, which might take a couple of months. All right. So that's something you want to focus on when you're lean bulking. All right. Another thing, guys, another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to, lean bulking, or at least just eating healthy in general, is eating intuitively. All right. So if you hate using the scale, like if you hate using the food scale, and it just pisses you off to have to wake up and like measure your food here, there, and everywhere, one thing I'd recommend to you is, like, especially when it comes to protein, carbs, and fats, pick a specific group of foods. Like, say if you like eggs, if you like chicken, if you like whatever, it's turkey bacon, whatever your protein sources are, remember them, okay? And only use those. I mean, if you are consistently eating the same foods on a regular basis, and I'm not saying you're having the same exact meals every day, but if you're cycling the same foods, pretty frequently, it becomes very easy to visualize how much food, it actually is. And you could get away with it and not being 100% accurate if you are super familiar with the food selections that you're using on a consistent basis. Eating intuitively doesn't mean just like eating when you feel like eating however much you want to because you feel like you want to eat as much as you want to. It's not the way it fucking works. It works by you already being consistent. It's backwards. It works by you being consistent using a scale, so consistent to the point where you can actually visualize and accurately gauge how much is in that bowl, how much is on that plate, and then circulating the favorite food selections that you do have in order to, I guess, create more variety and free yourself a little bit from the scale. Now, is it the best way to do it? No. Is it the most accurate? Fuck no. But will it alleviate your mental? Absolutely. Is it an option that you should exercise if you struggle with looking at the scale, the food scale that is? Yes. Right? But ultimately, if you want to succeed in this game, not just to like transform your body, but if we're talking about the next level, competing and things like that, or just having that 1% physique, then this is something that you should ignore completely, because the fucking scale is not your problem, right? It's your discipline, and you should just fucking use the scale anyway, because why are you bitching and moaning? But for 99% of people that just don't want to compete or don't want to like look like the 1%, then this is something that you can exercise, especially when you are lean bulking, because it will get to a point where you're fucking measuring everything on everything. And that's just the way that it's supposed to be if you want to be as accurate as possible, right? And again, if you don't mind being inaccurate, and if you don't mind not being, as good as you possibly can be and leaving no stone unturned, then exercise the other option. And it doesn't make you any worse of a person. It doesn't make your transformation any less valid. May make it a little bit slower, right? But ultimately, it's something that you can do if you struggle with, the mentality of weighing your food in and just looking at the scale and like just being kind of OCD about what you put in your mouth, right? Pause. All right. So, guys, another thing that I want to talk about is not ending up at square one. Okay. People that, and again, I guess I'm guilty of this as well. There are times where I go on like a diet break. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't eat the foods that I normally would eat. And in that time period, I'm not really thinking of anything, right? Just like you. But the one thing that I do that sort of keeps me away from going back to square one is, again, as I talked about at the start of this episode, and it ties in kind of with eating intuitively, keeping your eye on the calories and keeping your eye on the protein that you're intaking, right? If you can at least get the protein, at the very least, then the calories don't matter, because diet breaks shouldn't be longer than a couple of days to a week max. Again, I'm a professional bodybuilder. I have diet breaks. Like, you definitely would probably want to take one. What's a diet break? It's just literally taking a week off or couple of days off of eating what you normally eat. Maybe you'll have a little bit more junk food than you normally would. It's definitely the 20% in the 80-20 rule that I talk about, but pumped up on gear. So that's what that is. In order to be in alignment and to not really lose your progress in a diet break, you got to make sure you're at least upkeeping the amount of protein without going too fucking crazy, overeating the calories, right? This is something that I'm only going to talk about for a couple of seconds, and only the people that I would say are most experienced and like already have a fuck ton of results should be doing this. If they, struggle with um, at least being too consistent, which is not really a problem, or like they're just fucking bored of it, or like they competed and it's like, well, I'm going to go into a rebound phase. Am I just going to eat the same shit all the way into it, or am I going to give myself a little bit of a break here? If you are the upper 1% and you are already grinding and you already have a fuck ton of results, this is the message for you. However, if you are just starting your fitness journey, if you've just lost your first 15 pounds, your first 10 pounds, or you haven't done it yet, then completely ignore this. You don't need a fucking diet break. You need discipline. Diet breaks are for people that already have the physique. All right. So that's one thing I want to bring to your attention. It's not that every single person on Instagram you see that has a somewhat perfect physique eats this exact same clean shit all the time. They have diet breaks too. And if you're an intermediate to an advanced lifter, then this is something that I encourage for you. It's good to reset you and honestly light a fire under your ass when you get back under the, in the kitchen and under the barbell. All right. So again, guys, just to recap, when lean bulking, don't shove a bunch of foods, like processed foods, down the fucking hatch. Use the same foods that you did in your caloric deficit and just double it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a good rule of thumb for those of you that compete. Whatever you ate during peak week, double the calories. You may not want to double the protein because that'd be crazy, but close to double the calories and close to double the macronutrients is essentially what you would need in an aggressive lean bulk, right? And again, you can probably calculate your own maintenance calories at this point, especially for advanced to intermediate. And with that, once you calculate your maintenance calories, you can play around with the rule that I was talking about, adding 100 calories to 250 calories every single week, slowly and incrementally to make sure that you're making the progress, but not packing on a fuck ton of fat water. All right. All you've got to do is eat more good shit. None of that processed shit. Like if you ate, think of your peak week, guys. If you ate fucking 1,200, 1,100, 1,400 calories, or even 1,000 calories, right, to get super shredded for your show, double that. So you could double that and then you can play down from there, or you can double that and you can add more from there. That's just like a good rule of thumb, because the foods that you eat or that you've eaten during your peak week or when you're at the peak of your diet are foods that once you do repeat them your body will respond well with, because you've already eaten them before. Your gut health is familiar with it. And that's personally what I like to do. I don't like to really stray too far from like the foods that I eat on a regular basis unless I'm like in a diet break, because my body already is like, it's assimilated to that. Like it digests and breaks down the foods that I feed it already very, very well. And my gut culture and my bacteria is pretty fucking friendly with what I put in my mouth. Pause. So that's pretty much what it is. I don't really stray too much away from that shit at all. All right. And there's no need for you to as well. You don't need 850 million recipes for 300,000 different types of protein, carbs, and fats. Like that's just going to make you hate the game, because it's going to take so fucking long to use the skill for this and that and this and that. Just make it simple and stick to it. Have a couple of options for protein, carbs, and fats, rotate them, and stick to your calories while also focusing on the protein intake and training like God is watching you. All right, guys, that's it. That's all. If you like this episode, share it out with a friend. I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you guys and girls today. You know what time it is. Hope you like what today's topic was about. IFBB PRO Matt Bertale signing out. Peace. All right.